Welcome everyone to our top 10 wide receivers of the 2020 season. I have Hammer on with us again tonight as we're going over all the football rankings for your upcoming season. I think we had an interesting running back ranking. Me and Hammer had some differences and some guys that we liked and some guys that we disagreed on. Any comments on last week's rankings, Hammer?
Yeah, get that bottle ready.
just to keep the audience informed, we did wager a bottle on Miles Sanders versus Jacobs, and to see who scored the most points for the regular season in we would say PPR scoring. So that's going to be an interesting watch all year. We'll probably have a little countdown to a bottle to see. Is it like the bigger the blowout, the better the bottle? Is that how this is working?
We're gonna take it as it goes and see how it progresses. But you know what? I spoke to somebody about it yesterday, and they're like, "You better get a good one." And I'm like, "I already got the wager with my doctor at work. That one for a bottle of Jack is Southern boy at heart. I love my Jack. I love my whiskey. I gotta come up with something else." So,
okay. All right, so they got some whiskey on that one. But you don't have to worry about this one because you're gonna be giving me the bottle, so it's okay, buddy. It's okay. It's gonna be all right.
Keep hoping for that one, bro.
Well, it's gonna be.
That's exactly what I got in this cup right here. I got a nice little cup of Jack and ginger ale right now. For those that have seen the infamous Yeti cup these last few weeks, it's been Jack and ginger. Just. It's what it is.
It's a wave. I mean, I can't lie. I like mixing ginger with my stuff, but today I think it's going to be a very, very interesting episode with the wide receivers because I think everyone knows the game is going more toward wide receivers. We're seeing a lot more passing, a lot more vertical threats. Let's start off and see who do you have at your top three wide receivers going into this 2020 season, Hammer?
My top three are Michael Thomas, Davante Adams, and Julio Jones. I'm going to start off with Michael Thomas. Widely regarded as the best wide receiver in football, hands down right now. He comes off a historic 2019 campaign in which he set an all-time NFL record with 149 receptions. Additionally, led the league with 1,725 receiving yards, 26 red zone targets. No position player offers a higher floor than Thomas, who exceeded double-digit targets in 12 of 16 games last season, his quietest performance was Week 13, still resulted in 6 grabs and 10-plus PPR points. The main catalyst for Thomas's production is his elite hands, which resulted in a league-best 94.9% true catch rate, the highest of his career to date. Still 27 years old, he's just about to enter his prime, remains with one of the most secure options in all fantasy football with Drew Brees at the helm of that high-octane attack. While scooping up running backs early in fantasy drafts remains like a viable strategy for anybody and everybody, targeting the best wideout in the game offers the safest return on investment of any first round of this season. Whether it's Dynasty, Redraft, Standard, or PPR, Thomas should definitely be a top 10 selection in everybody's fantasy football league this coming season.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you on that. For me, I have Michael Thomas also as my number one wide receiver going into 2020. The biggest reason why is kind of like Hammer said, he put up a historic year with 149 catches, which in most PPR formats, you're either getting half a point or a full point on that scoring. So it's definitely something that's going to help him or propel him to that high scoring ceiling. We know Drew Brees loves to target him and keep him involved in the offense. So that's something definitely you have to keep an eye on with Thomas. And last year, just to touch on it again, he really outscored the next closest competition in standard leagues, standard PPR leagues. He scored roughly about 140 points more than the next closest guy. So definitely I have him at one. Number two, I have Davante Adams, much like Hammer. Adams is the number one wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers, and we just seen every time that Davante Adams has been healthy and playing with Aaron Rodgers, he puts up great numbers, and I fully expect them to go crazy this year. Just for a recap, in 2018, Adams was the number 4 wide receiver on the board. I like him a lot considering all the other options that they have on the team kind of lends themselves more to feeding the ball to Adams, and he's going to get that volume in, which you really like to see with the wide receiver. And at number 3, I'm a little bit different from you. I'm actually going, instead of Julio Jones, I'm going with the big play guy in Tyreek Hill. The reason why I like Tyreek Hill is because that Chiefs offense is super dynamic. They look to go vertical a lot, and they look to keep him involved. And to me, that game-changing speed that he offers, the way that Kansas City operates that offense just lends himself to big plays. And when you look at it back last year, Tyreek Hill was hurt in the beginning of the season, which definitely did hurt his overall point totals last year. But the year before that, in 2018, he was the number 1 wide receiver on the board. He scored the most points. And when you're scoring deep touchdowns like that, it's a great bonus, especially in leagues that award you bonuses based on those. But yeah, my top 3 are Michael Thomas, Adams, and Tyreek Hill. Who do you got for 4 to 6?
4 to 6, I got new place, same face, DeAndre Hopkins of the now Arizona Cardinals. Mike Evans at number 5 of the Tampa Bay Bucks with his new shiny quarterback in Tom Brady. And at number 6, I have Tyreek Hill. Now with DeAndre Hopkins, oh man, let me pull him back up as well. I put all this stuff together and it's been crazy. So DeAndre Hopkins, 2018 was averaging 20 fantasy points a game, totaled 333.5 points total last year, 17.9 with 268.5. He's been one of the best wide receivers in fantasy since entering the league in 2013. 2019, he once again dominated over 1,300 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns. Entering 2020, finds himself on a new team with a new quarterback in Kyler Murray. Going from Houston, Arizona presents a big change for him. He's unlikely to see that target of 25 to 30% target share that he was normally getting with Deshaun Watson in Houston. He was surrounded by a far inferior talent in Houston. That's why he was just the main target there. Considering the importance of the aspect of his game is not to win with separation, but with contested catches, that should translate to his team with in Arizona this coming season. He was 15th in the NFL in contested targets with 26, was 12th in contested receptions with 12. Average target separation, 1.39, ranked 50th. Murray showed in his rookie season, though, he's not afraid to throw the ball in tight spaces. Murray's receivers last year is ranked 3rd to last in target separation with 1.31. So he should definitely not be hesitant to throw the ball to Hopkins this coming season.
Yeah. And to me personally, I think Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the game right now. His overall package, what he's done over the extended period of his career, I really don't think there's really been many seasons, if any seasons, that he's put up that wasn't near all pro status. So to me, he's still better than Michael Thomas, but the problem with him is it's an unknown situation. We kind of really don't know what we're gonna get out of the Kyler Murray and Arizona offense. You still have Drake there, you have Kirk there, you have Fitzgerald there.
Right.
What are they really planning on doing? Like you said, he was getting a robust target share when he was in Houston, which made him, usually the number 1 wide receiver off the board most years. So this year, it's the questions behind him and the insecurity of what his role is going to be. I think that's the only reason why we both have him at 4. Just for good measure, in 2019 he was the number 4 wide receiver in points, and in 2018 he was the number 2. So this guy puts up numbers, he puts up points, he's a really safe bet. The only thing that you're worried about is you're just not 100% sure what's going to happen in Arizona with how they're going to run the offense. But I want to believe that Hopkins is going to be really good this season, and he's going to be a really safe bet at that number 4. For me at number 5, I went with the guy that you have at number 3, Julio Jones. Julio Jones is a model of consistency. He finished as a number 3 wide receiver in 2018 and 2019. He had a blow up monster week 15. this coming season. He went absolutely bonkers. I believe he had what was it, 14 catches. I forgot his exact numbers. I'm going to pull it up for you in a moment. But Julio Jones, needless to say, went off in the fantasy playoffs last year. He's been consistently a top 3 scorer, but with Matt Ryan having Calvin Ridley on that offense and Calvin Ridley really starting to come into his own a bit last year, it leads me to be a little bit hesitant to take him as, over those other guys, only because I think that he may lead a little bit in or eat into a little bit of his target share. And I think you might start seeing a little bit of the targets on Julio come down and Calvin go a little bit up. Does that scare you a little bit on Julio at all?
It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm looking at it as he might have a targeted increase this year with the
tight end.
Yeah, with Austin Hooper being gone and going to Cleveland, I feel that his numbers are going to increase. His production is probably going to increase. Julio Jones last year made up for just slightly under 24% of the target distribution for the Falcons offense. Mm-hmm. Calvin Ridley made up for 14.2.
Right.
Him and Austin Hooper were actually neck and neck with each other. Hooper got him by 0.6 of.
But they also added Gurley back this year, so
that's true. So you know what? And but you also have to take into consideration with Gurley is his health as well. Like he had.
I mean, Todd's been hurt 1 year. He was hurt 1 year. Todd was perennially one of the top running backs. He had a little bit of a knee joint hurt. What was it? 2018.
Right.
We saw it really show up in the playoffs, and then the next year they basically put handcuffs on him, didn't let him really run. And towards the second half last year, they finally let him run, and he started showing that he's still Todd Gurley. So I mean, I get why there's cause to pause on Gurley, but I think having Gurley there and having Ridley there. It just makes me a little bit weary. I mean, I still have Julio top 5, so it's not like I'm dropping him much.
But you know what? Let's go back to last week when we did our running backs. Neither one of us had Todd Gurley in our top 10.
Nope.
I'm telling you right now, if the production.
But I will tell you this: Todd Gurley does have an upside to finish in that back half of the top 10.
We gotta wait and see what happens.
I mean, we're taking it based on what we feel as the safest bets, but I mean, Todd Gurley is right there. I mean, you could put him in comparison with a lot of other guys, this season for scoring. That's going to be a rushing offense in Atlanta. Look at what they did with Freeman and who was the other running back they had before Freeman? Because Coleman. They were dominant. They were
a nice two-headed monster. They both complemented each other in the backfield, and Coleman went to San Francisco.
Yep.
And
Freeman just didn't look like himself.
Yeah. I get it.
So, and then for number 6, I have a guy that I didn't even see you ranked. And this is a guy that I think is going to cause a lot of debate in most draft boards and in most leagues, and that's Odell Beckham Jr. Where do you take him, right? I would take him right here, number 6. The reason why I take him number 6 right here is this. Let's face it, Odell Beckham Jr. is a premier talent. He has all the tools in the tool bag. He can score in the slant. He can take you deep. He can go against man. He can go against zone. He can go up and he can make the tough catch. The problem with Odell is last year he was hurt. He couldn't really open it up. It was his first time playing in a new offense. He was still upset with the situation with the Giants. Looking at him this year, he's fully healthy. He's fully engaged. He is revved up and he's ready to go on a comeback tear for vengeance. When a player that is that talented is coming back to tear up the league and he's on a team that is there to prove something, and Baker Mayfield knows that if he wants to win, he needs to keep one of the best wide receivers involved. That's why I take him here at 6. Everyone else on this list, I can see why you could debate it, but his talent-wise right here, there's nobody else more talented in the NFL right here.
You said
I think he's gonna have a big year. I'll let you touch on OBJ before you give the round out your rankings, but let me know how you feel about OBJ.
You said he's got a lot of tools in his bag. That dude,
he has a lot of tools in the tool bag.
OBJ, and if you get a hold of this, you're a certified tool bag, and I'm gonna throw it out there right now. You can't seem to stay out of your own way. And here's where we go from last year. He finished ranked 25th amongst fantasy points and receivers. He only had 4 touchdowns, which ranked 43rd. 1,035 yards, ranked 23rd amongst receivers. Contested catch rate was 40%, had 11 drops. I'm not even remotely a ballpark on my top 10. I have him ranked at 16 right now. Going into this season. They're saying that Cleveland's offense going into this season is ranked 6. He's playing again with a quarterback that I don't even have in a top 20 in Baker Mayfield.
I agree.
This is another dude that had a major slide last season with the new addition of his head coach and Freddie Kitchens. They're going to have to turn it around quick, because the next thing is there have been talks for months and months and months about it not working out for him in Cleveland and him potentially going elsewhere. And one of the destinations, which I'm tired of hearing, was him going to Vegas. Him going to Vegas or him going to the Patriots. And you know what? I wouldn't want him in Vegas. Sorry, but hell no. Hell to the nah. Definitely not. Definitely not. We don't need any more headaches. We dealt with that shit with AB last year. We don't need another headache like that.
But I mean, do we really think that OBJ is a headache or more of a player that really wants to win? I think that's a discussion in itself.
You're right.
So right now, who we got there to round out the top 10? Give me your 7 through 10. Let's end the back half of this wide receiver debate.
7 through 10. I got another Tampa Bay Buck, Chris Godwin. I got Kenny Galladay, aka Kenny G, at number 8. Adam Thielen of the Minnesota Vikings at number 9, and Chicago's wideout Allen Robinson II.
Gotcha. Now, I definitely like some of your guys that you have ranked there. A couple of them I have in the same spot as well. But just talk to me a little bit about Allen Robinson and why you have him ranked in your top 10. There's a plethora, I feel like, of wide receivers that can round out that spot that I think are very close, and I'm just interested in your perspective on Allen Robinson.
So Allen Robinson was a top 10 fantasy option last year, despite having that terrible quarterback in Trubisky. Like, his play just didn't help the cause, but he ranked 4th in the NFL in total targets with 153, total target share 27%. He also saw a large sum of air yards. He ranked 6th in total air yards and 7th in air yards per game. He's going to continue to see targets downfield, in addition to receiving the most looks on the Bears this coming season. He also continues to see more red zone work. He ranks 7th in red zone targets at receiver. Nobody on the Bears at any position had more than 10 red zone targets last season. There's also a chance that Robinson also sees a quarterback upgrade with Nick Foles that just signed. So if he continues to see poorly thrown balls, his 8th ranked contested catch rate at 58.3 proves he'll still be able to produce. The pass seems clear to him to repeat as a wide receiver 1 option this year, like with almost no competition for targets. I'm looking at it now. He was averaging 16 points a game last year. He had 254.9.
Now here's my question and my essential concern about Allen Robinson. Like you said, he scored those points last year despite having Mitch Trubisky as his quarterback, who I don't think there's many fantasy players that have any kind of faith in Mitch Trubisky as being, that quarterback that's going to get them any kind of anywhere. I feel bad for Bears fans everywhere. But I mean, they do get a backup, like you said, Nick Foles. So, down the road, I think that
I give it a few weeks, but I'm telling you right now, and this was the thing that I wanted to touch on before when we were talking about Murray and Hopkins. Right now, with everything going on, we're still not 100% sure on when the regular season is going to start. They're still having talks right now about if they're going to have a preseason or not.
I think they agreed there's going to be no preseason.
Like, it's hard when you're new to a team, you're new to a system, and you're not working with your new guys. Like, perfect example right now is going to be Cam Newton with the Patriots. I think that, and it's probably going to sound crazy to say this, but I think Stidham is going to start maybe the first few games until he's able to work with these guys consistently. I did see a video earlier today.
He was working with Edelman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw that video this video that they posted of him working out with Edelman.
And
But go ahead.
I was gonna say with how hard Cam looks like he worked out this offseason and how good a shape he's in right now, I think Bill Belichick is gonna say, "Hey, you are the most talented player I have on this roster. If I am going to win games, go out there, big boy. Let's figure this out." And Bill Belichick will have a hell of a coaching season, and I think he could do it. I think Bill Belichick is one of those guys that can understand this is what my quarterback does well. Let me put him in positions to win, and we'll expand the playbook as we play. Just because, let's face it, Cam Newton's a baller. Cam Newton's a winner. Since college, he's a winner. And I just hate this narrative they have on him because I get it. He sometimes has a bad attitude and doesn't look the best in the media.
Right.
That definitely could rub some people the wrong way. But Cam Newton's a winner. And you know, it's not like we talk about this guy really doing stuff that's detrimental to the team. He's a guy that's just trying to win, and sometimes it comes off in the wrong way. But I think that's another guy who you can talk all day about. I think I have Cam Newton as one of the bigger upside picks in fantasy football coming up this year, just because you'll probably be able to get him at a decent price range, and he looks hungry and motivated. And I love getting players like that, and he's talented. We know he's talented. If Cam Newton's healthy and talented, he's a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
He's coming in. He's definitely coming in pissed off, especially with that small contract he got. It's gonna be a more or less put some respect on my name by the end of the season.
Like I would love to see him when he's running for that goal line touchdown. And I could just see him in his head, picturing the amount of that he got in his contract as he bowls over and trucks a lineman to get in. Like
he's gonna run somebody over and be like, "F you, pay me."
Yeah, literally. I just see him doing that all season, and that's intriguing to me from a fantasy perspective. But to round out my top 10. I start off very similar to Hammer. I have Godwin at 7. I have Kenny G at 8. Godwin last year was a number 3 wide receiver. He really blew up with Winston. Now, I love Tom Brady going over there because I think he's going to be able to use both of the weapons that he has in Evans and Godwin and be able to get both of them nice amount of targets and get them fully involved in the offense. Like Hammer had him at Evans at 5, and he has Godwin at number 7. So, you know, he has both of these wide receivers being in the top 10 with Tom Brady. I also have both of them being in the top 10 as I have Evans at number 9. I think that both of these guys have tremendous upside. When you compare them to everybody else on the board, I feel like they give you your safest bet. Even though they're going to take targets away from each other, they're also going to help create targets for each other. I think having both of them there is a gift and a curse. You know, it's a gift because some games you're going to be sitting there and your guy's blowing up. It's going to be a curse because other games you're going to watch the other guy blow up.
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm looking at the target distribution for last year, and they were half and half. Like, seriously, they balanced each other out. Godwin made up for 19.90 of the target distribution, while Evans made up for 19.4. You had Perriman that made up for 11.5. You need to take into consideration right now when drafting these guys, and if you're drafting anybody from the Bucks, is what the target distribution is going to look like, because you also have to take into consideration Gronk being there as well now.
Yep.
And you know the relationship he has with Brady and how much of a target he was for him in New England as well. So
I just can't believe that Gronk is going to eat into enough of Godwin or Evans's target share for it to take either one of them out of the top 10. I think that Gronk is a solid player, but I think that when Brady has toys like Evans and Godwin that he really hasn't had in a long time, I think we're gonna see these two guys eat this year, and I think that's reflected by both of our rankings and both of us having them in the top 10. And for me at number 10 was really a toss up. I was between a few guys. I think 10. You know, by the time you start getting after, the the final nine. I think the top nine are pretty solid. You know, Evans and Godwin, even though they're both on the same team, their talent is undeniable. And like Hammer was saying, they had a great target share last year, so you know they're going to get the volume, which is the number one thing that you want when you're drafting your number one wide receiver. But after you get through these top nine guys, that's when it gets really dicey. There's a bunch of different guys you can pick from. Two guys that Hammer had up here were Thielen and Allen Robinson. I had OBJ going a lot higher, which kind of fills into this range. But Juju Smith-Schuster is a guy that I think has a lot of talent. That last year had a horrible year. He burned me in 2 leagues last year, so I definitely felt the pain of him getting hurt, of Roethlisberger getting hurt, that offense not being able to put up points. But year in and year out, not only does Pittsburgh have a high scoring offense, but they're able to get points for their wide receivers and points for their running backs. And, Ben Roethlisberger and Juju had a good chemistry when they were playing together during that 2018 season. In 2018, Juju was the number 9 wide receiver overall. So he's shown flashes of being able to do it. Now, the question is, he doesn't have Antonio Brown there anymore. Ben Roethlisberger is another year older. So this is going to put a lot more pressure onto Juju. But I do think that this is a position where they're going to get him enough targets and get him the ball enough. And I think that he's someone at the number 10 spot that I'm really interested in, and that I would give more of a shot to than, let's just say, Allen Robinson, just because I trust Ben Roethlisberger a little bit more. That's pretty much, that was the deciding factor for me when I'm comparing him to, like, Robinson and Chark. DJ Chark is someone that was interesting to me, but do I really trust Gardner Minshew? I really don't know.
Uncle Rico,
right? He's good for a look-alike contest, but is he good for a quarterback? That's the jury's still out on that one.
With you having Juju at 10, I'll tell you what. I don't know, and it's for the simple fact that what are we talking about when it comes to Ben Roethlisberger's health?
Yeah.
Fantasy points last year, he finished. Juju finished 63rd.
Oh, it was a horrible year.
3 touchdowns, ranked 51st. He ranked 61st in receiving yards and 552. Right. 17th in contested catch rate with 50%.
He was hurt last year, though. He was hurt.
He was.
And then he had no quarterback because Mason Rudolph came in and then he came out, and they were running a mash unit there over. I'm shocked that Pittsburgh just won as many games as they did, and that's just a testament to their defense.
Absolutely.
And the great coaching of Tomlin, which is partly part of the reason why I do believe that with the healthy Juju and Ben, they'll figure it out. Like, Tomlinson is one of the Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the NFL, I believe, at least in my opinion.
I still think he's up there. It's been a long time since we've seen them win a championship. So I don't know if he's one of those coaches going into this season that's going to be on the hot seat or not. But with that division this coming season, I think they're going to be another one that could potentially. I'm not saying this is definite. They could potentially be a wild card, but it also depends on that offense and if Ben Roethlisberger can stay healthy throughout this coming season.
And they were competing for a wild card spot this past season with everything that went on. So and even James Conner wasn't there all year. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what Pittsburgh has. So as we round out this episode, Hammer, I have a question for you here. Based on your top 10, right?
Yeah.
Who is the guy that you think that, depending on where you draft, he's going to most outperform his draft position? Like, if you get this guy, you're going to be super happy because you think getting him where you got him is a steal.
Like I said before, when we first started off, if you're going to strategically, normally you go with the receiver. I mean, not a receiver, a running back as like your first round pick. If you really want to steal it this year, and you should be doing this from here on out, as long as this dude continues to stay healthy and consistent, take Michael Thomas. Because I'm telling you now, he's consistently blowing doors off with Drew Brees' quarterback. His numbers don't lie. Mm-hmm. He will continuously get you a lot of points. But I will tell you one thing. That NFC South this year, especially between the Saints and the Tampa Bay Bucks, and actually even potentially the Carolina Panthers with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm now, that division is going to be a dogfight this year. Mark my words, especially
And
between
the
the Saints
Falcons.
and the
Don't forget
Bucks
the
and the
Falcons.
Falcons as well. You're absolutely right, especially with the addition of Gurley and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, those 4 teams,
That's the
that
toughest
division
division
is
right now.
going to be a dogfight. And
Yep.
when I lived in Florida, some years back,
Mhm.
I was only able to watch, unless I was going to bars, I was only watching Buck games, and I actually enjoyed watching them. Don't get me wrong, and Raider fans don't hate me for this, but watching those teams in the NFC South, and it's the same thing with me when I'm watching like basketball. Like I have a thing when it comes to teams in the Western Conference because of the way they play, how fast paced they are. It's the same thing. You're gonna want to watch the NFC South as much as possible this year, especially when that matchup happens twice a year between Breeze and Brady.
Mhm.
It's gonna be very, very interesting to watch this coming season.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you on that Thomas upside compared to a lot of running backs. I mean, I probably would have Thomas as probably like the number 6 pick overall. I would probably just have like the top 5 running backs over him, and after that, then I would probably go with a Michael Thomas over definitely over like a Derrick Henry or a Chubb or guys like that kind of give you some question marks or some unknown variables. Like I would say probably Zeke is the end of like the running backs where you feel like okay, after Zeke, that's when I'm like Michael Thomas is probably that guy that I'm gonna make that switch on and lean on, just because, like you said, he's consistent. He's in a good scoring offense. He's safe. He has those targets. And for me in football, I want to be safe, but I also want huge upside. And like you said, you get both when you have Thomas, because
Absolutely.
last year we saw he was one of the highest point scorers and he blew out the next closest wide receiver by far. So that's definitely something that I believe in. And then for me, I mean, I personally think that the guy that I'm looking at that has the most, real upside, I feel like is Hopkins, because he's a guy that's going to slide in drafts. People are going to feel very uncertain about, where you're going to take Hopkins. I think he's pretty much going to be anywhere from the three to five range. So he's not going to take that number one cost that you're normally going to get. So, like Cameron was saying, like, you want to take, maybe Thomas over some of the running backs. I would take maybe Hopkins over some of those running backs when you get to the second round, and you might be able to come out with a nice stack of getting, you end up with a guy like Miles Sanders and Hopkins to start off your team, and you're you're in seventh heaven.
There we go.
Like to me that's a great stack with great upside, scoring, receiving, catches, volume. But I think you're going to be able to get Hopkins at a reasonable rate, and I think he's going to work really well in a lot of stacks that you can end up putting together
You
at
have
that
to
back
hope
half of the draft.
you have to hope so. Like I said, in regards to he's with a new team now. They haven't
Sure,
worked out together yet. Like
you're right.
at least we haven't seen anything of them working out together
Absolutely,
yet. So
absolutely.
it's kind of for some of
It's
these
a
guys
risk
that are
reward.
in new places or having new quarterback. It's somewhat this coming season for these guys that we have in our top. It's somewhat of a buyer beware because you don't know what to expect right now because of this whole pandemic. These guys are really not together working out right now. You don't see group practices. Everything is video, Zoom, this, that, game. That's how they're doing stuff right now. So it's really hard to tell going into the season
But
how this is going to work out.
But we also know that Hopkins has that upside to possibly be the number one wide receiver and just score a lot of touchdowns and do what he does
Let's
and
hope
ball
so.
out.
For
Because
him, for his case, and for any fantasy owners,
yeah,
let's hope so.
yeah. I mean, but that's the beautiful part about this. You're just getting a whole bunch of lottery tickets, and you're gonna see which one really pays out. And that's the thing about it. A lot of these guys are razor thin in the differences between them, and it's little subtle things like that, like not being familiar with the receivers. Like Kyler Murray being a young quarterback coming in and now having an established wide receiver that's not used to running that offense. It could lead to questions, but what questions do we think is going to happen in Tampa with Godwin and Evans not getting the reps of Brady?
Same exact thing.
So well, as we close out this episode, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to like and share this post so we can help other people out, winning their league and getting the most information valuable to their teams. Hammer, what do you got for the folks as we signing off today?
Wash your hands and your asses.
Everybody stay clean, stay safe. We're going to be back with running backs 10 through 20 next time to keep you guys informed and rolling there. So you guys have a wonderful day. And like Hammer said, wash your hands and wash your asses.
Later, guys.